The transfer portal is already beginning to buzz. Now it officially opens this upcoming Tuesday, so make sure you're tuned into the show for some more breaking news on that when it starts happening in real time. We'll have Pete Nakos on the show, but there's already some names that are starting to hit you with the intends to enter kind of news. So some must follows, obviously, the On3 main account on Twitter, the On3 transfer portal account on Twitter, Pete Nakos, Hayes Fawcett. If you want to be dialed in for all things portal, follow those accounts, all right? Bear Alexander was a name that broke yesterday that he is going to enter the transfer portal when that thing opens up. Now, Bear Alexander, for those of y'all that have, kind of kept tabs on him throughout his college career, he started his career at Georgia, played a little bit as a true freshman there, went to USC last year via the portal, had some success, 48 tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss. Believe he had a sack and a half. Really good football player. The thing with Bear Alexander is there's a little bit of a risk-reward ratio you have to deal with when you bring him to your football team. And that's not me telling you he's a bad locker room guy or anything like that. But if Bear Alexander does indeed enter the transfer portal and does go to a school that's not USC, that will be his 7th school in 7 years. Now, I've never met Bear Alexander. We got to have him on our show this time last year, and he was phenomenal to talk to. However, 7 schools in 7 years doesn't exactly scream buy-in. But again, guy can play some football. So in the right situation, I think you could be a phenomenal get for any given team. A couple of teams that would make sense. I don't have any intel on this right now, but a couple of teams that make sense right now. Texas. I mean, if you're looking to be a contributing defensive lineman and play within a defense with some other ballers on it and not have to take on 2 blockers at a time every single down, which is what he had to do a lot at USC, Texas could be a great spot for him. I think that could be a spot where you get to play against the best competition in the country in the SEC. And like I just said, have some other focus on other guys within the defense. Also, Florida State now. How many times have we seen guys with a lot of potential that haven't been able to totally put it together just yet go to Florida State and have success? I'm just saying, if there's a place that is going to work at as a transfer player, you find out really quick that it works if you go to Florida State. Now, we pay attention to the social media pulse when it comes to what this show is about. Like, we understand that there's official reports out there, and social media does not necessarily qualify as an official report, but we did see Bear Alexander last night tweet out a snippet of Deion Sanders talking about, how just was basically talking about something inspirational. But what I want to make sure we hone in on there is Bear Alexander tweeting a snippet from a coach who specializes in the portal, a coach who I'm sure would love to have a big defensive lineman like Bear Alexander. So keep an eye on Colorado. That could also make sense. Again, nothing intel specific there, but just some schools that we could see maybe making sense for a one Bear Alexander. Big name that broke yesterday for an intends to enter was Oregon State running back Damian Martinez. Now, Pete Thamel also sprinkled on there intel-wise that Damian Martinez was set to make right around $400,000 at Oregon State. So in terms of, what kind of player you're getting if you sign a Damian Martinez via the portal, over 1,100 yards last year, 9 touchdowns. This is a RB1 kind of player that's available right now. And I think the way that it looks on the outside is this is a guy who probably wanted to help his draft stock. And this is not to dunk on Oregon State, but you look at the schedule they're playing and you look at the just overall talent you're surrounded by on that roster. If you're Damian Martinez, it would make sense to go somewhere else and try and improve your NFL prospects somewhere else. More power to him. Now, again, no intel as of right now. Stay tuned in here if you want to have some specific intel when we get Pete Nakos on the show next week. I'll just say this. Tennessee, I believe, is probably going to be in that running back transfer portal market for the right guy. You could do a lot worse than a Damian Martinez. That's not an official prediction. I'm just saying if you're looking for a fit, play in the SEC, help your draft stock, play in a fun offense that goes up-tempo. Tennessee needs another back. I'll just say that. Or I expect them to maybe go and add a back through the portal. They got a great back in Dylan Sampson. We got to see him yesterday. Miami edge, Nigel Kelly, is going to enter the transfer portal. Another intends to enter guy. This is a top 100 recruit from 2022. And whenever we would talk to the folks at Kane Sport from the fall camp rumblings or spring ball rumblings or whatever it was during that time of the year, Nigel Kelly was a name that kept coming up of like, hey, this is a guy with a lot of upside. This is a guy with a lot of ability. Hey, if he can put it together, if the coaching staff can get him positioned to be successful. This is a dude who have a really good season. Did decent at Miami, had 19 tackles, 4 sacks in 2 years. That 4 sacks number isn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. The key thing with him is there's upside, all right? There's a lot to be excited about. Got a big frame, 6'6". The fact that he's at an ACC school in Miami means that he could do the whole post-spring deal and go to an SEC school. I don't know if that's someone who will be in the market for him, but that could be a spot to watch. He's from SEC country, played his high school ball in the state of Florida. A name that broke a while ago that we haven't got a chance to talk about yet together is Dallin Hayden. He's the Ohio State running back. And I'm very curious to see what the market is for Dallin Hayden. It was reported that Tennessee won't be in the market for him. His dad played at Tennessee, so that was a little bit of an eyebrow raiser. Dallin Hayden has had some successful games at Ohio State, like played in relief in 2022 of some of the backs they had dinged up and did really awesome. I mean, had multiple 100-yard games, had 146 yards against Maryland, had 102 against Purdue. I understand those aren't like world beater kind of defenses, but still, I believe in that year he was a true freshman. So it's a stacked running back room. It makes sense why you would look to play somewhere else if you're Dallin Hayden. You got Quinshon Judkins in there now from Ole Miss. You got Travion Henderson when he's healthy. Probably not going to see a massive dose of the football, but it is what it is. Dallin Hayden, I think, could help your football team. I'll leave it at that. Now, when it comes to some trends to watch in the transfer portal, what I'm hearing is linebacker is going to be a hot commodity. A lot of teams looking for a linebacker. And so whenever you're a hot commodity, demand goes up. Guess what else goes up? Price point. Kind of what we saw with offensive linemen really throughout the transfer portal's existence. Probably still see a good demand for linemen, but linebackers, it sounds like, is going to be a prized item when it comes to the transfer portal. Now, here's something to watch for. I talked to Pete Nakos about this, and we kind of had an agreement here. I think a lot of guys that haven't yet played their spring game may play their spring game and then hit the portal. So this portal's open for 2 weeks. Don't be surprised if you see some names pop up there closer to the cutoff date before guys can enter their name in there. Why? Because you have a nationally televised spring game for a lot of these cats, or at least have a spring game that coaches can access, do great things, put up some great highlights, get coaches' attention, and then be able to have a better market for yourself having done well in the spring game. So that's kind of the latest intel right now, kind of the latest buzz around the transfer portal. Again, when this thing opens on our live show on Tuesday, we will have Mr. Portal himself, Pete Nakos, joining the show. And if we're lucky, we'll have some breaking news that Pete can riff on, and we'll have a good time. And that's definitely going to want to be something that you are dialed in for. So make sure to subscribe to catch all of that. But the portal, man, proving yet again it is absolutely ruthless. Hey, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.